Picture this. You've just had your second baby. You're fat. You're ugly. Your self-esteem is in the toilet. You look in the mirror and you genuinely don't recognise yourself. And I know people will hear me say that and be like, no, Shawna, don't say that about yourself. It's not nice, but I'm just telling you what I saw. I felt fat and I felt ugly. That second baby, oh my God. Becoming a mum of 2 is exhausting. I remember finding it so chaotic in those first few weeks. Just sort of finding your feet and figuring everything out is crazy. I was very naive when I was pregnant, thinking, you know, I've done this before, I've had a baby before. I'm gonna be fine. Boy, was I wrong. And then past the newborn stage, I had to navigate how I was going to give both these kids the same amount of attention. And quite frankly, you can't, because there's one baby that needs a lot more help at the time. So along with all of that exhaustion and just sort of navigating the new terrain, I also felt so uncomfortable in my body. You hear people say all the time, like, when you have a baby, you don't recognise yourself and things like that. With the first baby, that wasn't a massive problem for me. But with this one, oh my goodness, I remember thinking, who is that person in the mirror? I couldn't recognise myself. Whilst you're trying to look after everybody else, you're kind of just in survival mode. You don't feel like you're really living, to be honest. You're just kind of getting by. This is going to sound really cheesy, but I didn't want to survive anymore. I wanted to live. I wanted to feel like myself again. I then realised that if I wanted to be me, or I wanted to figure out who I was again, and I needed to do things for myself again. Part of the whole looking after myself, I decided I needed to go on weight loss medication, which was Manjaro at the time. I've recently switched over to Wegovy, but I started on Manjaro. And I always remember thinking, I know why I'm fat. Like, I know it's not just the food and it's not just the exercise, it's both of them. So I was like, if I can have something that will just make me not having to worry about the food, then I can then start doing more exercise. When you're using medication like this, you want to build healthier habits, and I never wanted to feel like I did before I started. So I was like, if I have something that will help me to keep the weight off long term, forever, then I will not go back to that stage where I feel awful. People suggested like going to the gym and things like that. One, I didn't have money for the gym. I was now a stay-at-home mum. We would have found the money if it was a necessary thing, but then it felt like I was taking away so much already by being on the medication financially, and I just thought that was enough to be spending on my weight loss and my journey kind of thing. So I was like, okay, gym is not going to do it for me. And also, I don't like the gym. I don't like the gym culture. I just don't like the gym in general. Like, it, for me, I never have. Like, I used to go to the gym and I'd spend a couple, maybe half an hour in the gym, and already I'm like, okay, that's enough. No, strength training is quite important for like women's bodies as well. But I genuinely I don't like it. I'd rather do some strength training at home or something. And I've always wanted to run. Yeah, I've always had this weird fascination with running. I don't know why. I've always just looked at people running and just thought, wow, you just look so effortless and you look like you're having a good workout. I want that. I want that in my life. I remember vaguely 2 occasions in school where I was running. There was one where it was kind of like a race, and I remember literally fighting for my life and thinking, this is not something I could ever do. Like, can't do it. And then I remember doing like a cross country sort of thing, and I actually enjoyed that because it was like we were together, and we were all like chatting and stuff whilst we were running. And I enjoyed that, but that was like one of the only times that I remember actually enjoying running. Very weird sort of obsession with running. Don't know why. Couldn't run to save my life, and just thought, okay, I like the way it looks, but I don't think it's for me, and I don't think I could ever do something like that. So when I started Manjaro, I was like, okay, I'm going to start walking. I'm going to go out for walks. I'll do like a 40-minute walk. Then whilst I was on these walks, I would try and run. Girl, let me tell you something. I would try and run, and let me tell you now, I was fighting for my life. 10 seconds in, fighting for my actual genuine life. I just didn't feel like a natural runner. I didn't feel like I could do it. I was like, this is not for me. Why am I trying this? But every time I'd go out, I'd be like, I need to just see. I need to see if I'm getting better or... So after a couple of weeks of this, trying to run, I remember speaking to one of my friends, and she was like, why don't you try the Couch 5K? And I was like, girl, I've heard of that thing. I don't know. It sounds a bit gimmicky. I don't know. And she's like, no, you should definitely try it. I think you should try it. So I was like, okay. I downloaded the app. So 3 days a week, without fail, I would go for my little run with my Couch 5K app. I had Sarah Millican in my ears. When you live in the ghetto. I remember being so embarrassed. Do you know, you go out for walks and it's completely fine. You're just like, yeah, that's fine. But I remember just being embarrassed and thinking, oh my God, people are gonna like look at me and like blah, blah, blah. But I was obsessed with the idea of becoming a runner and being a runner and being able to go out and just go for a run. Like, I was obsessed. Like, so I was like, I need to do this. I need to do it. I don't care if people are staring at me. I don't care. I don't care if I'm running at like a snail's pace. I need to do this thing. I remember being really emotional at some points because I remember thinking, oh my God, I've just ran. I think there was one point where I literally bawled my eyes out at the end of the run because I'd run for, I think it was like 3 or 4 3-minute intervals. And I was crying. I was like, oh my God, I've done it. I can't believe it. I can't believe that I ran for 3 minutes straight, because when I started, if you remember, like 10 seconds and I'd be tapping out. So about around week 5, I remember it started becoming really enjoyable now, because I think at week 5, I was able to run for 20 minutes straight. And Sarah Millican's in your ear saying, okay, slow it down, you know, keep your pace, try and make sure that you can breathe and all this. And there was another aspect of it. Now there's the part of it where it's like, okay, you're starting to do a bit of exercise, you're starting to getting your physical health better. But there's also the part where I'm now going outside, I'm now getting that fresh air, I'm now getting that 40 to 50 minutes of peace. It wasn't just exercise anymore, it was time that belonged to me. Now, I'm going to be very honest. It wasn't easy. It was not easy. It wasn't like I woke up one day and I was like, oh, I run now, this is cute. The pain, amen. The pain that I went through to be at the stage where I am now, horrendous. My feet, my back, my calves, my knees, my skin, for some reason, my skin was hurting at one point. I remember all down here for like a couple of weeks was just hurting. Like my skin was hurting. And I was like, am I okay? Am I all right? But I still kept going. I'd be in so much pain. I remember my calves were just constantly hurting for weeks on end. And I remember getting a massage gun. And that really did help. My knees, I had a little sort of injury. It wasn't an injury, but I remember going on a run once and it just started hurting. I couldn't finish the run because it was hurting that much. And I remember thinking, oh, I don't want this to be the end of it. I was really sad. It wasn't like a proper injury because it wasn't like swollen or anything, but it really scared me because I was like, is this the end of my journey? I think I was at 6 weeks of Couch 5K and I was really starting to enjoy it. And I was like, oh my God, am I done here? I was really upset. But I took about 4 or 5 days off and I was better and I was fine. And after each and every run, I'd be like, am I okay? Am I going to be able to do this? Like, am I going to be able to finish it? Am I going to be able to do a 5K? Like, there was so much doubt all the time. Every single time I'd go out for a run, I'd be like doubting myself. I was enjoying it, but I was really doubting myself because of the pain that I felt all the time. But I kept going. And for me, that was the biggest achievement, really. Just every time getting my shoes on and just going and getting it done. I started the Couch 5K. I managed to run my full 5K like crazy. So yeah, I finished the Couch 5K and I still wanted to keep running. I remember downloading the Runner app because the Runner app sort of talks you through everything like the Couch to 5K. After a few weeks, it reaches a paywall and I was like, I don't want to pay for an app. I don't want to do it. So I did some research. I had an Apple Watch at the time and I got myself my first ever Garmin. Look at her, she's so cute. Now I'm a runner. It's happened. Like, I've got a Garmin. At some point I stopped saying I want to be a runner and started just saying I'm going to go for a run. A lot of people, when they finish the Couch 5K, they're like, okay, I'm going to book a race. That's it. I'm a runner. I'm going to do a race. I'm going to do a 5K race and that's it. That never appealed to me at all. Like, I just had this obvious weird obsession about being a runner, just being able to get up in the morning and go, oh, I'm going to go for a run. Like, at no point during my training to do a 5K was I ever like, yeah, so once I finish the Couch 5K, I'm going to do a race. Never. It was always just about the health and about building those habits of something that will help me to keep active, okay? So when I finished, I just kept wanting to go out for a run, all this. My Garmin, I just did it for a 5K training plan. I never really ran as far. I think the furthest I ran was like 8K or something like that. And I remember once when I didn't have my watch, I used just Strava on my phone and it told me I ran a 10K and I was like, oh my God, but I think it was only 8K or 9 and a bit or something because it just didn't add up. The numbers didn't add up. So last Sunday now, I was able to run my first ever official 10K and I was like, get me. It took me about an hour and 25 minutes, I think it was, but I did it and I really enjoyed it.
Big news. Really big news. I've only gone and done 10K. Saying it so cash, like, oh yeah, I just do 10K.
When I finished that 10K, it brought me right back to the beginning and I was like, I couldn't run for more than 90 seconds, like 6 months ago. That was me. I couldn't do it. And I've just ran for 10 kilometers. Crazy, crazy times, girls. Crazy. If I'm honest, like, running didn't fix everything. It didn't make life feel easier. It didn't make me suddenly love my body, but it gave me confidence. It gave me my time back, my me time. It gave me something that was mine again, really. It showed me that I'm capable. It showed me that I can do hard things. I started the journey because I didn't recognize myself anymore. And somewhere along the way, I started recognizing myself again. Very cheesy, but it's all very true. Biggest thing that I want you to take away from this video is, if you're watching and you're thinking, I couldn't do that. I can't run, I can't do it. I want to tell you that you don't have to start with a 5K. 5K is hard. Running 5 kilometers is difficult. Like, even to this day that I've done a 5K and I do run a 5K, it's difficult. Some days when I'm tired, I still have to walk to do 5 kilometers. It's not easy. So you don't have to start with 5K. You start with going for a walk. You start with just getting outside. You start with walking. You start with 30 seconds. You start badly. You start while you feel uncomfortable. And the most important thing is you start before you believe that you're capable of doing it. Because of course you won't be capable of doing it at the start. That's why we're doing it, okay? Maybe you just have to start.